incredible. Can you hear me now? Only on live TV. Only on live TV. Can you hear me now? That is hilarious. Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? I'll wait for you guys to tell me. Can you hear me, Goat Father? Carl, can you hear me? Can we all hear? Yes. Right. This is great. I never had to worry about this on 12th Man, did I? Let's go again. Let's go again. Yeah? Let's go again. I got that, Dan. I got that, Potsy. I got that right. So, to start this again, this is what's happened. So, Brian, the news is coming. The news is coming. People are on their phones. A certain Mr. Romano is like this, and he is excited. He is excited as I am. He is excited as all of them. Ben Jacobs, Laurie Whitwell, they are all waiting to say the words that we want to hear. Here we go. Okay, there is a couple of million in this, a couple of million, and I'm willing to take everything that Ben Jacobs says about this guy as facts, because he has not got a thing wrong so far in this window. So when we look at it, we have, from what I'm led to believe, it is literally a case of Mbeumo is waiting for that medical to be given the go-ahead, and then bang, he is up to Manchester. He is up to Manchester as quick as Rashford has been buying those tickets to Barcelona for the airport, for the fucking hotels, for the stadium tour, to appear on a couple of people's podcasts to say, I want to play with Yamal. Okay, don't read into that. So this is fantastic news. And I'll bring that stat back up for you because you couldn't hear me. This is an absolutely, yes, the Brian Brigade is in full force as always. This, from Statman Dave, by the way, that is incredible. Brian Mbeumo scored the most goals of any Premier League player whose club didn't qualify for European football last season. 20 goals, the most prolific player available to Manchester United. What do we think about that? Chat, what do we honestly think about that? That is absolutely what we should be looking for. That is what Manchester United have to be going out and looking for now. That is going to change the team. Now, he didn't play up top all the time for Brentford last season, okay? I think he played 6 or 7 games up top, and this guy was still filling in with the goals. This is what we should be doing. When we go back to what Ranić was saying about open heart surgery, well, let me tell you, what is happening this summer so far is they are wheeling them in. They are wheeling Manchester United into surgery as we speak. Cunha's the doctor and Mbeumo's the nurse. Get me that heart, okay? Because I tell you something, right? Let me tell you something. I have got for you tonight on this show. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring up where I feel like Manchester United are lacking. And I only think it's 3 signings. Now, there have been reports coming out that once Brian has been done, once he's been signed, that we are looking at a striker, a wing-back, a central midfielder, and a goalkeeper. Why? Because they are positions we absolutely need to fill. I'm dubious about the wing-back position, I will be honest, but we have to wait for that domino effect to fall now. We have to wait for the players to start leaving the club. Now, we spoke last night about a hero. We spoke about a hero that Manchester United needed but didn't quite deserve. And last night, it was Jose Mourinho. Tonight, it is this man. Cardoza from Real Betis has signed for Atletico Madrid. That is the start of a domino effect, people. That is the start of us getting people out the club to bring the people we want into the club. Now, it's been no denying that Anthony wants to leave the club. I'm not going to dwell too much on that. But what I am going to tell you is, with him leaving the club, Betis now have the money to come to Manchester United. And instead of standing there like Oliver with their hands, with their pockets completely empty, saying, please, sir, give us some more, give us another season, they're able to come to us now and say, we can give you money. We can give you money. It might not be the money you paid for him. And let's be honest, Manchester United fans, were we ever expecting to get the money back that we paid for Anthony? Oh, hell no. No, we weren't. We absolutely weren't. What we were looking at is getting him off the books. We knew that we were going to have to take a hit. And this goes back to what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. Manchester United are going to have to take that hit in the transfer market. So that's why we're seeing the likes of Anthony potentially go, I think, for about 30 to 35 million. That's why Sancho will go. Okay, I wasn't sure about this at the start. I am absolutely convinced that Sancho now is looking more and more likely day in, day out, that he will now be leaving the club. We've got Juventus now coming out saying that they are talking to him. And it sounds like he wants an Italian side. He said he wanted Napoli. They couldn't afford him. Juventus have come in. Fenerbahce come in with a lot of money. I mean, it wasn't as much as what Manchester United were willing to pay, but it was still money. And because of this, I think we're starting to see these dominoes go bang, 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 and we can start seeing those players come in. It's a fact, guys. It's a fact. Now, Rashford, there are conflicting reports. This is where I go back to the Barcelona beg. If you saw my video earlier on, Barcelona beg. I am sick of these fools coming. I am sick of these fools, A, being able to sign all of these players, but B, coming to Manchester United and saying the same thing. We'll take Rashford. We absolutely will. We're not going to pay for him. We're going to go and pay for Nico Williams. So the money we were using that we could have used, we've gone and spent on someone else. However, we'll take him off you. It's good news. The bad news is we know he's on a lot of money a week. Will you be able to cover half of that? That in itself is embarrassing. And I'm sick to death of these clubs using Manchester United to beg for these players and hopefully not pay that much money. What if he goes to Barcelona and bangs, by the way? What if Rashford... There is a world where Rashford goes to Barcelona and gets 15, 20 goals. I honestly see it. I can see it. If Anthony can go over and do what he's done, I 100% see Rashford doing the same. So what we're left with then is Barcelona taking a player off us. We probably still be paying this guy $250 a week because we know Barcelona apparently haven't got the money. So we're paying 250 grand a week to watch this guy play in Spain and absolutely bang. This can't happen. This can't happen. Let me go through some of these comments. Carl says, not like Arsenal buying a 31-year-old Christian Norgard. Weird transfer that for me. If Potts is still in the chat, he might be able to elaborate on that a bit more for you. I feel like this was a quick buy for Norgard because Partey's gone. I feel like because Partey has now essentially said, I'm gone, I feel like they've gone out and just, if anything, you have to say they've done the correct thing. They've identified a replacement straight away. We know that their main target this summer is for the striker. They've gone out and said, right, Norgard, bring him in. He's not going to cost as much money. He will do for now until we've got the money and we've got the backing in place and we've got the scouting in place to bring in another midfielder. Don't forget, they've brought Zubamendi as well. Moxie Shun says, saw training footage of Yoro and Mainu training to be ready for the season. Kobe looks stronger but leaner too. Big incoming season for the Manchester lad. Moxie, because I was on fucking mute before, that must have been hilarious, by the way. Honestly, thank you for staying, because to watch me just sitting there going, what a crock of shit. Well done. Well done for staying. I have got some Ramos stuff for you later. Goat Father says, our Betis in a position to pay his wages well. This is the difference between Anthony and Rashford and Sancho. He is willing to take a pay cut. He wants to leave the club. So I fully expect this to pick up now. I fully expect the Anthony saga to start really pushing on. Don't sweat on other clubs coming in for Anthony, by the way, because there was talks that Como had money and they wanted to perhaps look at him. I think we will see him leave in the next couple of weeks. I'm absolutely sure of that. Now, the other thing I will say about Rashford is he has said, God rest his heart, thank you for this, Marcus. We appreciate you so much, that he is willing to come back and do pre-season training. Jog on. We don't want you back at pre-season, mate. We've had enough of the Marcus Rashford circus. It's done. You are going one way or another. One way or another. You are absolutely leaving this club. So, whereas we appreciate, you want to come back and be the model professional, absolutely not, mate. Off you go. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Now, before we go on to what I've got here for you with regards to the positions that I feel like we need filling and how I think the team could look next season, I don't know if some of you have followed me from TikTok. Some of you might be new. If you are new, make sure you are subscribing and make sure you hit that like button. That would be absolutely phenomenal. I said all along that I could see Manchester United signing 4 or 5 players, 4 or 5 decent players, and then we move forward and we utilise the youth, push them through and build that way. Now, Barada come out, as you all know, and said that this was going to be a 2 or 3 summer transfer project. We were not going to be able to sort this mess out in one season. Manchester United was not going to be fixed in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. United ain't getting fixed in a fucking day, okay? So there's caveats to that. What I've got here is where I think we're going to strengthen, where I think we need to strengthen, and who I think we will get in. So let's bring that up. 2 seconds. Let me make that a bit bigger for you. So if you look there, straight away, the thing that absolutely stands out is goalkeeper. Goalkeeper is something that we all know, we all believe has to be changed. We have to get a new goalkeeper. We are doing all of these movements in the market in bringing players in like Cunha, Bryan, looking at a midfielder, looking at a striker. We do not want to be in a position where we bring all of these decent players in and we still get let down at the back, okay? So a goalkeeper for me is absolutely key. The next player you will see is I think we need another central midfielder. I think that is absolutely key. I think Bruno is going to need a hard-working, hard-running central midfielder because Bruno is not used to playing where he is going to be playing next season. That is going to be such a key signing. That could potentially... You look at the 3 transfers, they're equally as important as each other. The number 9, that is absolutely something that will be looked at after we've signed Bryan in. We know that we have been waiting to do this deal. It still angers me. It still annoys me that even now we cannot spin those plates. We cannot do more than 1 transfer at a time. It baffles me. It baffles me that we still can't do that because I still feel like we should be working hard to sort out the number 9 now. I think now that Bryan is looking more and more like it's getting over the line, I do feel like that is something we should already be making progress with. And look, we might very well be making progress with that. Now, as you can see with the team there, we've got Yoro, Maguire and De Ligt at the back. We've got Dorgo at left wing back, Diallo right wing back, Bruno in the middle, Cunha and Bryan. That is the team I feel like, bar the 3 players, I think you could see start the first game of the season. Fitness, of course, permitting. On the bench, look at the difference it makes in that bench straight away as well, people. Look at what we've had to go through the last couple of years. The blaggers we've had on that bench. And you will notice that Luke Shaw isn't even on the bench for me there. I think his time's up. I don't want him a part of this club. I really don't. We have wasted so much time on that player. For a player to have only played, 230-odd games in how long? 10 years? 10, 11 years? His time is up. His time is up. So if you look at that, on the bench, you will have Anana. I still think if we get rid of him, he will go. If we get a new keeper, by the way, he will go. But I'm not sure that Binder will be here still too either. We have got Amas, Heaven, Mount, Xerxes, Martinez, Dallo, Mainu, and of course Ugarte. That bench is a lot stronger than what we have been seeing in previous years. Now, don't get it twisted. That same bench has been part of a squad that has seen us drop down the table dramatically. So, again, it's not all good news. But when I say to you that I don't think we can go out there and sign 6 or 7 players to make a difference in the team, this is where we're going to have to look at it. Liverpool was so famous when they first were taken over by Klopp. For the first 2 or 3 years when they were Nearlyman and they were pushing for the title, they were going far in Europe. They had a solid 11, okay? They had a solid 11. The biggest criticism that Liverpool Football Club had, they didn't have a squad to take over that full 38 games and do something in the league. That, for me, I think is a decent structure. I think the players there that we've got there would work well. I actually feel like Yoro, Maguire and De Ligt do okay together. I'm not saying that for the full-term project there, that they will be the people that I back for us to absolutely go on and do something in the league. But I think as a starting point with the signings we're trying to make, don't forget Cunha and Bryan there are technically new signings. I think that's a decent start. I think that's an absolute decent start. Carl says, could always put a sell-on percentage in the Anthony deal to possibly make it a bit more back in the future. Yeah, I agree, Carl. I think it's something we could absolutely look at. However, with that in mind, I would rather this guy just go. I don't think you get a sell-on from him. I think he'll go to Betis and he'll stay there a few years. I really think he loves it there. I think he loves the people of the club. He is respected by the fans. I don't see him seeing that as a stepping stone. I think he is just solely interested in making sure he gets back into that Brazil squad. He was in there not so long ago, and that was down to the fact he had gone to Betis. I do feel like he is that sort of player that will repay the loyalty shown to him from Betis as well. So as well. We could easily put that in. We could easily put a sell-on clause, but it's not something I'm overly thinking about because it's not something I think that would directly impact us in the coming years. So what are our thoughts on that 11 as it stands? Are there any changes that you guys would like to make to that? Is there anything you look at and you think, I'm not sure I agree with that, Dan? I think I would swap him. I think I'd do this. You let me know what you guys think. Oh, yeah, big up, big up, big up. It's me, Everest. Hope you are well. Yes, and thank you. Make sure you are liking and subscribing to the show. So that's where we are with that. What changes would you make? I am open to suggestions as always. You know this is a two-way street here. Now, there has been news. Let me bring that off a second and put the big screen back on. We can always revisit that in a sec. There we are. Here we go. I'm back. I tell you what, it's so fucking hot. That is absolutely ridiculous out there. I'm not built for that heat. Look at me. I'm burning. I'm burning up. Now, obviously, we've all seen in the news about the Gyökeres saga. And I said to you that this wasn't anywhere near being over yet. I told you that there would be more twists and turns in this. Now, it all depends on who you're willing to believe. It all depends on what you're willing to think about the players, the agents, what Fabrizio does. But there was that piece put out today, wasn't there, that Benjamin Sesko had now followed Arsenal. I'm not sure I read too much into this, but there are signs, aren't there, that Arsenal really aren't backing down and they do want this striker. Let me just have a quick look at what Carl's saying. I think Ugarte next to Bruno and buy someone as backup for him. Well, I do have some options for you with midfield, but I would be okay with that. I think Ugarte needs to have a full season. I think he needs his shot at redemption. I'm not saying he's out of this team by any means at the moment, but I feel like this season was a tough one for him. So it'd be interesting to see that. It's me, Everest says, you must get used to the heat if you want Qatari owners, Dan. Jesus, honestly, I'm flustered. I can't take it. But anyway, back to it. So, yeah, so Arsenal going for Sesko. Arsenal seem to be powerhousing their way to trying to get Sesko in the club. There are conflicting reports now coming out that Gyökeres is starting to say, do you know what? I actually want United. I'm interested in United. Again, these conflicting reports are always going to come out. People always want to be the first person to release something like that for if it does happen to be able to say, I told you. Now, what I will say to that is I told you all a couple of weeks ago that if Arsenal fumble the ball with Sesko, I don't expect anybody else but Manchester United to be in for Gyökeres. I think what they do have, as much as we are going to be second choice, and I don't like that. I absolutely despise that. But when you look back at this, a second, right? And you look at that number 9, okay? And you put a Gyökeres in there with a Cunha and a Brian behind him. You've got Bruno sitting there. You also have Diallo coming up that wing. Dorgu, who loves to get forward and put the crosses in. Well, I tell you what, that absolutely becomes a dream, I think. I think regardless of what you may say about Gyökeres and the fact that he has played in Portugal, the fact that he has not been proven in the top leagues, I feel like in that formation, a formation, by the way, he's used to playing, I think he bags goals in that. Now, hey, let me be honest here. There is nothing stopping Arsenal saying, no, we don't want Sesko, we want too much money, going and getting Gyökeres, and me sitting here going, well, it was fucking good while it lasted. But we have to think positive. We have to look at what could happen. We have to believe that something like this could happen. And I'm still of the opinion, by the way, that Manchester United have got a shock signing in them this season. Now, Gyökeres won't be the biggest shock, but to the footballing world, for a striker like him, to come to a club who doesn't have Champions League football, I think would be a shock. I think it'd be up there. I absolutely do. What's Moxie saying? Ugarte did okay for me last season, had a little drop-off towards the end, but think he can do the job in there, covering ground and working hard. Well, yeah, Ugarte had a really good, solid, just after Christmas, couple of months. It's a tough one because what Ugarte does for me, and I see him do this in games, is he will have a moment where he misplaces a pass that puts us under pressure. He looks out of position and you think, Jesus Christ, what is this guy doing? But then he'll have a moment, he'll flip it, and he's back in formation. He is crunching those tackles and he is picking that ball up and he is starting that movement forward. If we get more of that, Ugarte, I've got no complaints here. But I just worry. This is why the bench needs to be in a place where we can bring players on to change games. We don't need to be bringing a Casemiro on. You'll notice I didn't put a Casemiro even in the squad. I think he's gone. I think he will go to Al Nassr. I think that's done. I honestly think that's done. So we need to make sure the players that we have on the bench, Ugarte, Mainu, who else is there? Who else have we got there? We've got a few. Let me get that back up, guys. Let me get that back up. Ugarte, Mainu, Mount. Sorry, Mount. Now, Mount's an interesting one as well. We need to make sure that we have options here to change games. The problem we had last season was I don't think Amorim looked at that bench and trusted anybody to come on and make a change. I honestly don't think... Do you know something? Moxie, you've made a valid point there. I haven't spoken about this guy all summer. I'm going to be honest with you, and it's hard to say this. Because of his injury problems towards the end of the season, I forgot he even existed. He's come in and put some decent performances in, but then he's fallen off because of these injuries, and we don't know where he's been. You know, I thought it was a hamstring injury at one point. Then I thought it was a thigh injury. He just couldn't get fit. Now, Collier's an interesting one because he can actually play. He is willing to play in the wing-back positions as well. He is quite... he's a utility player in that sense. I'm not saying that Collier, for me, is a player that goes on and achieves great things at Manchester United. I think he's got ability. I've not seen enough of him yet to warrant me saying this guy is the answer. I've not seen enough of him to warrant me to put him on the bench instead of some of those players. I'd like to see him fit, and I'd like to see him have a season pushing. But at the moment, yeah, Carl says, Moxie beat me to it. Is there any other players? Moxie, Carl, is there any other players? Let me put that back up. Is busy making music. Let me put this back up a second. Is there anybody I'm missing in there, guys? This is your moment. Is there anybody I am missing there? I've got a feeling there's someone I'm missing there. Luke Shaw, I'm not willing to put Luke Shaw in there. I think Luke Shaw's had his chance. I think his time is done with Manchester United. I'm a little annoyed Southampton didn't start because I thought that would have been the perfect signing. I honestly would have thought that was a match made in heaven. Carl says Obi on the bench. The problem with Obi is I genuinely feel like if we get a top striker in, like a Gyökeres, I feel like you'll have Xerxes who will be the understudy. And I think Obi will be that player that comes to... And I said this, though, didn't I? I'm happy for this guy to come on in the cup games. I'm happy for him to get experience. But I don't think he'll make the bench as much if we sign a top striker. Now, obviously, the season's a long season. Injuries happen. He will get opportunities. No doubt about that. But then this begs the question. Would we be far more better off loaning Obi out? Would we be far more better off loaning him down to the Championship? Get him down there. Get him playing week in, week out. He's looked decent for, I think it was the under-20s. Was it the under-20s he was playing for Denmark this summer? He has looked decent. The guy can finish. The game, was it Hong Kong where he scored the 2? That game, he was quality. We forget as well just how young this lad is. I remember assigning him as a 16-year-old, and I remember the hype around him. This guy could not stop scoring in youth games. Then he made the step up, and he kept scoring. He is starting to make the step up for Manchester United, and I don't think it will be long until we... Do you know something? Moxie. We're going to have to make a change because I've left Mazraoui out here. Hang on a second. Unfortunately, I think Mazraoui replaces Amastan there. So let me look at that again. That's a great shout. Mazraoui. That is an absolutely unreal shout, Moxie. How did I forget about that? Mazraoui would absolutely be either pushing someone like a De Ligt or a Maguire for a starting place. He can also, yeah, there we go. How could I forget Mazraoui? Honestly, you're so right there. It's me, Everest. You're so right. I can't believe I missed him. Yes, Heaton has signed a new deal. I didn't even think it was worth screaming and shouting about. But yeah, that makes that bench just that little bit more stronger as well. Because Mazraoui can play on the left or the right. So can Dalot. He can play at the back as part of a back three. He is like the John O'Shea of the noughties for us. He absolutely is. How could I forget Mazraoui, by the way? That's shocking by me. I hold my hands up. That's absolutely shocking by me. That is absolutely shocking. Okay, yeah, so with the midfield too. Now, who was it that alluded to it before? Let me go back through this chat. Let me have a look. What did we have in the chat? I think, in fact, it was Moxie saying about Ugarte. Was it Moxie or was it Carl? Yeah, there we go. It was Carl. Here's the two that I've spoke about a couple of times this week. Here's the two. So the first one for me, and it's the one I want, it's if we can make the money up and he's available for 30 million, we have to. We absolutely have to go out and get this man. We absolutely have to go out and get this man. Douglas Luiz, Premier League proven. The premium we pay for him would be absolutely where Manchester United need to be spending. I think he's perfect. I think he is the perfect person to slot in there next to Bruno. I think he would do the hard work. And I think that for the money it is, for the value, for the age he is as well, I think that there's no arguments there. I mean, you tell me if there's an argument, I'll happily take this on board. But I just feel like that is the guy we need to go out and get. The other one that keeps getting linked with us, Jashari. This one, AC Milan are interested in. I spoke last night in depth about this guy being very controlled, defensive midfielder, someone who is in the mould of a Busquets in the sense of holding his position, working with the players around him. They're two midfielders I think change. They are two midfielders that I absolutely think change the way we look about it. A bit of a left field suggestion says, let me bring that up, Carl. A bit of a left field suggestion, Martinez in the midfield. Now, this has been spoken about before, Carl. I personally want to see him back at left-sided centre-back, but he can play CDM. He has played CDM. Eric Ten Hag utilised him there a few times for Ajax. I'm not so sure it works out for us. I think with Martinez, unless it's an absolute emergency and we have got no midfielders, I want this guy back being the tenacious butcher that we first signed at the back, causing mayhem, taking players out. And last season, if you notice, cropping up with a couple of important goals. Moxie says, why couldn't United do a swap deal with Juve Sancho for Douglas Luiz? Nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I feel like with that, we would essentially be getting rid of a problem, a major problem with this club, and we would be signing a solution. It's revolving doors, isn't it? Out you go, in you come. Is the day of swapping players done now? Or would it have to be a case of they sign Sancho for a fee, we then pay that fee back? It's technically a swap, but I wouldn't be against that, Moxie. I'm starring that, mate. I'm starring that. I would not be opposed to that deal, to Sancho going to Juventus and Douglas Luiz coming to Manchester United. I think that's a great shout. It's Me Everest says, problem is that Alicia is also in Juve and Douglas won't budge without her by his side. Weird couple thing going on there. Are they not split up? Let me have a look. I thought they'd split up. Let me have a look. I thought they'd split up. Oh, glorious. Chat, they've split up. They've split up. We don't need to worry about Alicia. They've split up. They're done. They are done. We don't need to worry about that. I'm buzzing with that. I'm buzzing with that. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That was a worry I had there because look, in football we see these decisions all the time, don't we? These silly decisions. Yeah, that's buzzing. That's buzzing. Moxie Shun says he's played there a couple of times for Ajax, but definitely more of a left centre back. Yeah, of course. Look, we can't get. I'll come to that in a second, Moxie. I'll come to that in a second. Yeah, we don't want to be in the habit of something I feel like we did for a while. We had to do with Dalot last season of putting square pegs in round holes. We can't do that. We can't. If we're building a team here that is going to go out there and do something and achieve something, we need to have players that are specialists in their position, sticking to their position. So I hear you on that. Moxie says not for me because not really a PSR issue as not homegrown. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's facts. It's me, Everest says, good for you guys then. To which Moxie replies, who gives a fuck if Louise and Alicia are together? They're not. And if they were, I don't think you'd be going to the wedding. So that is a problem solved for me. That is a problem solved. With the strikers, I spoke last night a little bit. As you know, the stats are always there. The stats are always there. And Moxie did ask the question about if there's a world where we bring this guy. Do we bring Ramos to Manchester United? It's a simple question, guys. With what we're looking to do and the striker we're looking to sign, is this man the man that we want to put up top for Manchester United? Now, his performance last season, albeit he was up against Dembele, as we discussed last night, not exactly the easiest feat to be up against. This guy has had the season of his life in Dembele. Ramos got 24 goals and assists in 44 games last season. It's not to be scoffed at. It's not to be scoffed at. The question I would ask is, would Ramos fit in a formation like that? Would Ramos do bits in that formation? Is it very similar to what PSG play at the moment? Not proven enough for me, says Carl. Yeah, see, this is where I'm at. I know Moxie really, really likes him. For me, I'm not so certain. I feel like now we know that there is a potential for us to go and sign them. Here we are. Look who's here. Lucas, hope you are well, mate. Brian, indeed. The Brian Brigade is back. Hope you're well, buddy. It's me, Everest says. Thing is, Mogsy, we don't care, but the couples do. They're in love in their own lovey-dovey clouds in it. Facts. Is Ramos better than Rasmus? Yeah, 100%. Andy, hope you are well. You snuck in there. I think, Ramos is absolutely a better player. But this is the other question. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take this hat off a second. I'm fucking roasting. With these two, with the chat here at the moment, that front three with a decent striker, what does that do in the Premier League? I'm going to put my camera off a second. I need to wipe my face. You don't need to be seeing that. Where are we? Do 2 seconds. Oh my God. That is too hot, man. Too hot. We are not built for this heat. We are not built. And I'm back. Is that a formation there with the three there that can go on and do business in the Premier League? I absolutely think it is, by the way. I absolutely think when you're looking at a formation like that, when you're looking at creativity that comes behind, the hard work that comes behind, I feel like teams would actually look. And let me just put him in here. Hang on. I'm going to tempt fate. Look, it's what we do. There's nothing wrong with being a dreamer. Let us put this here, right? And let's go with this a second, because we know there is reports out there that Amorim absolutely wants Costa. I personally think Costa is off to Man City. I think he'll wait a season and he'll go there. That team there, guys, I think that is absolutely night and day different to what we've seen Manchester United play last season. I think that team there will absolutely do things in the league. I'm not saying we'll win it. I'm not saying Manchester United win the league with that team, by the way. But what I am saying is that conversation where these other teams look at us, come to Old Trafford with this team in front of them, that conversation absolutely changes completely. It changes. Teams don't look at Manchester United and go, it's only United. Teams look at that and go, shit, okay, we better get on our A game here. What else have we got here? Let me go through some of these comments. It's me, Everest says, Ramos is a good player, but not consistent enough. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. Carl says, I'd give Rasmus another season as backup option. He was never meant to be first choice when he came in. So, okay then, Carl, let me ask you this, bud. would you then say off you go to Xerxes, or are you keeping both and then perhaps using Xerxes in that 10? People have said about Xerxes in that 10. I don't think Xerxes fits there. I feel like I don't think he's a 10 at all. I don't think he's got the fitness. I don't think he's got the movement to be that player. I think at the moment his best option is up top. What we got here, Andy says, where does Andy? There he is. If Bruno is disciplined in midfield, it would be good. Well, this is it. Manchester United are going to be working on Bruno in the summer. Make no doubt about that. The signings we are bringing in, it absolutely points to the fact that Bruno will have to drop back. He is going to have to drop back and do that role. Now, as players like him get older, hopefully you'd think that with their experience, they would be able to bring that to the new position. Bruno's range of passing is exquisite, okay? Instead of moving forward where he's having to lump the ball forwards, where he's having to miss out Højlund because he doesn't trust him, he has got Cunha, Brian, Diallo, Dorgu, and a striker in front of him. If it's Gyökeres, he is going to be ecstatic at that. What else have we got here? Ramos is a good player. He is unfortunate at club and for Portugal management shithouses that he's behind Dembele and a 40-year-old Ronaldo who shouldn't be starting because of who he is. I absolutely agree with that, Moxie. I absolutely agree with that. I think Ronaldo's time of starting for Portugal has long gone. And the problem is you've got someone who, look, we all know is an absolute beast of a player. He has achieved everything in his football career, bar the World Cup. He has achieved everything personally that he could ever have dreamed of. There has to come a time where your ego has to stop getting the better of you, and you have to look behind you to the younger players and say, it's your time now. It's your time now. Let me get back to, there we go, I'm back. Don't like looking at myself that small. It's me, Everest says, drink lots of water, Dan. You can make some lemonade after the stream as well. Careful of heat. It's no joke. Honestly, people are taking a mick out of this fucking cup I've got, but it's been a godsend. Honestly, this t-shirt, I'm surprised it isn't see-through. I'm surprised it doesn't look like I work at Hooters. Horrendous. Lucas says, that front three is top four worthy. The rest of the team and the coaching finishes sixth next season overall, in my opinion. I'll ask the question. There's a few of you here. That team and I'll put the team back. No, I'm not going to put it back up. That team I've just put up with the signings I've spoken about, if that happens, where does Manchester United finish next season? Bearing in mind, I'm still of the opinion that this isn't a quick fix. I think there's work to be done because I don't trust all the players that come off the bench to come and change the game all the time for us. If you keep that 11 fit and they gel right, then yeah, you've got a decent team on your hands. I still think at the moment, with those signings, the best we could hope for would be sixth. Or if we were really lucky, we slip into fifth. I still think that there are teams ahead of us, like a City, like an Arsenal, like a Liverpool, dare I say a Newcastle and a Chelsea, that have got their shit together far more than Manchester United have. Carl says you keep both. You keep both of them. Okay. You keep both for next season. So would that be then with a new striker, or are you saying without a new striker? If you're saying with a new striker, I'm assuming you're talking about what we're saying in the sense of Xerxes dropping back into that 10 position, which is respect. And then you go on and say top six, Carl. See, I think we're in the same there. Moxie says, be happy with 6th or 7th, Dan. I think we would as well. I absolutely think we would. And I would absolutely sit here now and take banter off everybody. Okay. From the 12th man lot, I'd take banter off Wolfie. I'd take banter off Lawless. I'd take banter off Pete, Errol, Potsy, Deji, LB. I would take banter off the lot of them. Don, Charlie, Billy. I would take that banter for me sitting here as a Manchester United fan saying that 6th is where I'd be happy with. I've got no problem with that. We need to remember, as I said, that this is going to be something that's going to be happening over the next 2 or 3 years. If we get the players in I've spoke about, that's a fucking good start to the story that we're trying to write. That is a good story. That leaves it open for next season, part 2, the season after part 3, okay? We have to be looking at the signings that we can make now to better us. And then once we've had a season with these, in that season, you will look around that squad. You will see who is not part of the next phase of our journey, of the next step of our climbing, and we will get rid of them and we will bring more in. Now, factor this in as well. If we get European football, that brings more revenue. If people have decent seasons and they end up being sold on, that brings in revenue. We haven't even spoken about Garnacho hopefully going, Casemiro going, Rashford going, Sancho going, Onana going, Antony going. Let me tell you something. Bar Rashford, who I think will go out on loan, you have five. I was going to do that then. You have 5 players. I look like Booker T then. 5 times. You have 5 players that could bring the potential for a lot of money into this club. Factoring in the wage difference as well. That field that we've just been fucking looking at of players available over the next 12 months, that field that looked like that little patch of grass outside of a flat turns into a playing field, turns to us looking at doors that we didn't think could open. And I still also believe that if this were to happen, that the people who are running the club, I think, are done with the days of going out and spending 100 million, 120 million. I don't see Manchester United spending that sort of money for a very long time, by the way. I really don't. And I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. We can't keep trying to spend our way out of this absolute mess that we have been in for so long. Let me see what some of these comments are. Lucas says, so much ability and class in that team. Honestly, Lucas, stop flirting. Love that. Andy says, defo top 6, work in progress. Facts, complete facts. It's me, Everest says, my heart wants you lot to get relegated. My head says minimum Europa. Love that. Did I ever tell you you're one of my favourites? It's me, Everest. Did I ever tell you that? Carl says, with a new striker, gives Amarin options. Okay. I don't know if they'd be happy with that, though, mate. And I genuinely go back to what I said the other day. There is a world where Rasmus leaves this club. We don't know where it is yet. It could be to Inter Milan. It could be to Napoli. But there is a world. If we sign a new striker, Rasmus goes. I think it will be Xerxes that will be the man. Xerxes is the one that's been all over the socials as well. We've seen so much about Xerxes training with players, commenting on United players. I kind of feel like there's a belief in that United team, in that squad, that Højlund will be the one that makes way. Don't take banter off Lawless, Dan. Surely not. No. Oh, God, honestly. Have you ever seen a drunk Lawless, by the way, guys? That guy is an absolute menace on the piss. Absolute menace. Moxie Shun says, we definitely need an experienced striker, not another could-be-good youngster. Moxie, honestly, on a hot summer night, eh? On a hot summer night, speaking absolute facts there, my friend. I'm more than happy for United to go out and sign the Haydens of the Aiden Heavens of the world, the Obies of the world, the Diego Leons of the world. We've just signed that young lad. What's his name from Southampton? This is why I always keep notes. This is why I always keep notes. Emsden James, Harley Emsden James. This is why we go out and sign those sort of players. There's nothing wrong with that because we're bringing them in and we are essentially giving them time to move into the youth, move from the youth teams into the under-23s and then into the first team. There is a clear pathway. That is what Manchester United have always done, always been famed for. We've always gone out there and got some of the best talent and brought them through. The difference, though, with this now is we can't go out there and spend 60 million, 70 million, 50 million on a youngster. We can't do that. We can't go out and spend the money that we spent on a Sancho, on an Antony, because Antony wasn't too old, on a Rasmus Højlund. Okay, we can't go out and do that anymore. We can't. We can't be whacking all of this money on a youth player, on a younger player, should I say, hoping that they come in and absolutely hit the ground running and smash it. We can't. We have to go out there and look at these experienced players, Premier League proven in some cases, which is what a Luiz brings you, what a Brian brings you, what Acuna brings you, okay? Players like that will come in and they will galvanise that team. They will galvanise that team. Andy says, Ten Hag really screwed us up with some of the players he bought. Absolutely did, Andy. Absolutely did. We're still feeling the effects of it now. There are reports that he didn't want Antony. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Ten Hag doesn't strike me as the type of manager that they walked up to him and said, Antony's coming for 80 million. And he went, no chance. Absolutely not. And they smuggled him in through the back door. No, that does not happen. Not with Ten Hag. He was a very arrogant manager in that sense. He said what he thought. It's me, Everest said, I heard Onana is staying. Yeah, well, This is where we have to be smart. This is where we have to be a big club. People still refer to us as a big club. Well, let's start acting like a big club. If we can sell these players, go out there and sign Nemi Martinez. Go out there and sign Acosta. Bring in a goalkeeper that you can say to Onana, you see this guy here? He's going to play every game instead of you. Yeah, okay, Onana, you're a lovely guy. I tell you what, I might play you in the early rounds of the Carabao Cup. I might play you away at Lincoln in the FA Cup. But this guy here is my number one. You do that, and I tell you what, players like Onana, instead of pricing themselves out of moves, instead of pricing themselves away, like apparently the report's saying that Monaco offered him a wage, he wanted more because he wanted to stay at United, those conversations become a lot different very, very quick. It then becomes a conversation to the agent. I can't sit here. I can't sit on the bench and watch that happen. I'm Onana. I need to be playing. Send them the compilation that I've got. Send them the Inter Milan Man City final. Send them that. The attitude changes. This is also why I don't think you're seeing much more trouble in the way of Sancho, Rashford, Anthony, and Garnacho. I think, look, with the players we're bringing in, they absolutely have looked at these players and gone, well, they've come to replace me. These players coming in, Sancho and Brian, have looked at them and gone, we're here for your spot, lads. You've had your chance. You were part of one of the worst Manchester Uniteds to ever play Premier League football. So your time is up. Our time is now. That was John Cena. Fuck me. That's the way it is. That's the way it's going to be. This new Manchester United that we were all fretting about for the last couple of weeks. Where are these transfers coming from? Why aren't we signing these players? Well, look, they are starting to happen. They are starting to come. What is it they always say? The dawn is always darkest, yeah? Was it night is always darkest before the dawn? That sun's rising. Now, that sun isn't rising to take us to the Premier League. That sun isn't taking us to win the Champions League, to even be in the Champions League. But what it is doing is it's leading that path for us to get back to where we need to be. That path is not going to be straight to the top. We are going to have to go through some hardships still. We're going to have to go through some seasons of sitting there and going, how are we fucking losing to Wolves again? But I guarantee this, if we get this right, if Amorim gets this right, if these players come in and get this right, I honestly feel like people will look at us in a different way. Let's see some of these comments. That was Oscar-worthy, that speech. That was Oscar-worthy. Didn't even write that down. Wasn't as bad as Cal the Dragon's sayings, was it? Jesus Christ. Who is more annoying, Lawless or D? Do you know something? I can't honestly answer that. I can't honestly answer that, It's Me Everest, because I've only met D a couple of times. So for me to sit here and say one's more annoying than the other, I mean, look, by default, it would have to be D. And D, I obviously hope to do more stuff with you. But Lawless is my guilty pleasure. Lawless is the biggest, littlest guilty pleasure in my life. Honestly, everything about that man, when I watch him, he riles me. But then he just has this little knack, which brings me back in. And he's an absolute, I tell you something, he's a gent. He's an absolute gent. Ask me anything about the 12 men boys. I'll give you an honest opinion about all of them. Yeah, we're not taking Antonio. Definitely not. What else have we got? Lucas says, do you wish you kept Henderson now, Dan? If I know he wanted to go for game time, but he's a great keeper now at Palace, and United are left with Onana. Yes and no. Yes and no. The decision at the time was absolutely right to not drop David De Gea for Henderson. It was the right decision. David De Gea is levels above Henderson. I don't know if Henderson would have been the keeper to take us to that next level. I feel like at Crystal Palace, I think he's in a club that he absolutely loves now. He's winning things with them. He's about to play in Europe for them. He's playing for England because of his time with Palace. Look, things happen for a reason. I think he's at the right club. Moxie Shun says the youth project is really exciting with who will have to come through in the next 2, 3, 4 seasons. EFL Trophy Group games could be a good watch. Do you know something? That is a bang-on comment. The EFL Trophy games will be a good watch this season. When you look at some of the youth players that we've got, I mean, hang on a minute. You know me. Let me go back to the notes, guys. I always go back to these notes because I always make sure I remember things. Let's go through some of these youth players that I discussed. I don't want to forget any. That's the problem. We've got, straight off the bat, we've got Harry Amas. We've got Chida Obi. We have got the Fletcher brothers. So we've got Jack Fletcher. We've got Shay Lacey. We've got Mantato. We've got Biancheri. We've got Scanlon. We've also got Ibar Gimov. I can never say his name properly. I always go to say Ibrahimovic. Straight away, they're a crop of players that are going to be playing against men in this competition, and I think they're going to get so much experience. So the youth project is exciting, and this also factors in with you saying next 2, 3 or 4 seasons, these lads will mature of age, and hopefully some of them will really start to come at that squad and bang the door down and try and get more minutes. Back to the old days where these youth products just used to come in and tear it up. Carl says playing time is even more important for players in the World Cup year 2. Hang on a second. How are Cameroon doing? Let me have a quick look. How are Cameroon doing in the World Cup qualifiers? Let's have a look. World Cup qualifiers. Yeah. Okay. What are they? Group D. They're second. Okay. How many games left? 4 games left. They're a point behind Cape Verde. That is actually a really, really good point. You know, he will want to be playing, but then Cameroon aren't afraid of dropping him, are they? Is it Rigobert Song that's the manager of Cameroon that dropped him in the African Cup of Nations after that disaster? the Notebook. You know, I love the Notebook. You love secret. Come on, of course I do. He's one of my best bros. He's one of my best bros. Let's hope the youth set up to play 3-4-3. I'd like to think that Amorim will have a hand with the youth products and the coaching side of that is saying, look, this is how I want these young lads to play. I want them to be ready-made to slot straight into what we do, because I feel like sometimes in some clubs the youth team is kind of left to it. They play a different formation. The way they work the ball's different. People's jobs are completely different within the structure of the team. I absolutely feel like if there's a manager that you know is there for a project and knows there for a long haul, why wouldn't it not make sense to play the same formation as the first team? It's the best on the job training that these kids are gonna get. It's the best on the job training. Let's have a quick look at Twitter, guys. Let's have a quick look and see if we've had that famous line yet, or if there's any other. Big shout out to England under-21s as well, facing Germany tonight, in the final. That's incredible. Let's have a look. They're still saying about him going to Turkey. They're still saying about Sancho going to Turkey. Yeah, nothing really, but there's nothing jumping out. Which, okay, what are we on now? We're 5 days away from Serenity, guys. The 1st of July. I don't expect Brian to be done before the 1st of July now. I mean, look, if he gets the medicals, let's say, what's the date today? Say the medical and everything gets agreed to be happening on Friday. I kind of feel like it would be the 1st. One thing that Goldbridge keeps saying, again, you know my thoughts on him, but the one thing he keeps saying, and I kind of agree with this, it wouldn't surprise us if he is signed in lieu with the away kit being released. It's PR, isn't it? It is. I don't give him his props very often, but he's probably right about that. Having him holding the away shirt is probably factoring into what they're probably thinking. Guys, without even realising, it's been nearly an hour. Love Island is nearly done. I'm going to give you an extra 5 minutes, because if you're late to the stream, I was sat here for 5 minutes on fucking mute. I was sat here like this. Absolute ballsed it up. But this is why we're doing YouTube, guys. This is why. Did I say turkey to turkey, Andy? Did I say turkey to turkey? Oh, Christ. This is why I've moved to YouTube, though, guys, because on TikTok, unfortunately, you don't have these functions where you can do stuff like this. You don't have the functions where you can bring the pictures in and you can bring the stats from Statman Dave. You have to kind of just leave it to the imagination of the people who are watching you. So if you are new to the channel, as I've said before, make sure you subscribe and make sure you're sharing this with your friends as well. Let's get this Manchester United community up and running. We are in it for the long haul, by the way, guys. Okay, we are in this for the long haul. I have been working on. Yeah, I saw that. It's me, Everest. I saw that. Apparently, it's a follower thing on TikTok. I need to wait until I've got a few more. But the thing is, if I'm doing that, I don't know if this would all show on TikTok. I'm not sure. It's something I can look into. But the thing I have been looking at and have been researching is how to do the match day experience. So how to bring the scoreboard. I've got all that in the notebook, guys. We are going to be ready to go. The question is, do I do the pre-season friendlies or do I wait until that first game of the season against Arsenal? It is going to be a sublime one. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. I'm sick to death of this Premier League season not being anywhere near. What are we on now? 25th of June. So what we got? 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, 30th, 6th. Fucking hell. 1, 2. What is it? 6, 7 weeks? Is it 6 or 7 weeks until the Prem starts? It might be longer, actually. You know, I think it's 6 or 7. Fucking hell. What are you guys honestly doing at the moment whilst the Premier League's not on? Because I'll tell you what I'm doing. B&M, Home Bargains, Asda, Boots, being dragged around these shops. And let me tell you, it is absolutely destroying my soul. I'm not crying because of it. That's just the heat. What are you guys up to? Because I don't know how I'm lasting throughout this. The longer it goes on, the more I get stressed with it. I'm watching the Arsenal fans meltdown on YouTube about their signings. I tell you what, let's have a look. Let's just put Arsenal. Let's put Arsenal. Hang on a second. Let's search Arsenal. Let's search latest. You're not right. You're not wrong. Sorry, you're not wrong. It's me, Everest. I really want to get Potsy on here, actually, because I want to speak to him about the Gyökeres situation. I might see if he's free tomorrow or Friday and see if he wants to come on and have a chat about it. Carl, Football Manager for me. Do you know something? I absolutely adore Football Manager, and I can't wait for that next one to come out. When it didn't come out last year, broke my heart. That did. I'm used to having that every time it comes out, and I can't wait to see what the new match engine is going to be like. What saves do you do, Carl? What's your favourite save on there, mate? Moxie Sean says, seen Fabrizio put up that Sporting have made Almeida striker Javier Suarez their priority signing. What did I say at the start? Dominoes. Domino effect. Things are starting to move. As we're getting closer to that 1st of July, these things are starting to move. It's going to be a whirlwind transfer window, I'm telling you. It may have been slow, but if we can get 2 bits of business done before this whole fucking Pandora's box opens, we'll be absolutely sitting there saying, thank God we got that done. Imagine if we hadn't have got Cunha in. Imagine if we hadn't bothered with Brian until after the 1st of July. There would have been a lot more clubs that would have been absolutely sniffing around these. Andy says, try a friendly to see how it goes. Try a friend. I tried watching the Club World Cup, and do you know something? I couldn't do it. I watched the first game into Miami, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No chance. Couldn't do it. What did you have for dinner, Dan? Says Lucas. I'm very impressed with what I had for dinner, by the way. I'm wearing a white T-shirt. That's my work T-shirt. Look at that shameless plug. I had a white T-shirt on, and I ate cheeseburger loaded macaroni. Not one drop. Nice. That was horrendous. So I think look, guys, we've had a good stream tonight. We've had a really, really good chat about what we think about the club. I'll bring it up one more time for you all. That is for me a dream scenario of a transfer window for Manchester United. I think that if we sort that out, if we could end the transfer window with those 3 signings, and I'm willing to forego Costa for Martinez because I don't think that happens, I think we'll be all right. I think we will start to cause a lot of trouble in that Premier League. And it's just waiting for the final match of the Club World Cup. Not interested to see any other games. Yeah, I think isn't it Madrid City soon? That'll be a decent game to watch. See Trent Ladd. Moxie says the club. Yeah, that Club World Cup is a joke, and under 21s have been spot on since quarterfinals. Is that back-to-back if they win these Euros? Are they back-to-back winners? And yeah, of course, Lee Carsley is a solid coach. Do you know something? He got a lot of stick. I thought he got a lot of stick when he took over England for those few games. And he got hounded out already by the press. He spotted straight away what it was like to be an England manager and the fucking shit you go through. I'm still not sold on Tuchel. I'm still not sold on Tuchel. When will Amorim get sat down? I'm waiting for Southgate in. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Honestly, I will burn Old Trafford down to the fucking ground if they sign him as manager. I will burn it down to the ground. I will make it so that they can't play football there. Moxie says, yeah, they should be, but Germany will be a tough game. Yeah, the Germans are always a tough game, and it will be a feisty game. That'll be. When is the final, Moxie? Let me have a quick look. Under 21s final. When is that? Oh, it's Saturday at 8, you know. Saturday at 8. Do you know something? I promised Mrs. Robinson that I wasn't going to do anything YouTube related or football related, but that's going to have to be a game I'm going to have to try and sneak in. I'm going to have to, I'll tell you what, I've got a plan. Hear me out on this. I'm going to take her. If any of you know of this place, let me know. I'm going to take her to Cheshire Oaks. Okay, it's an outlet, a shopping outlet. I am going to say to her, because I get paid on Friday, so it's cool. I'm going to say, come on, my love. Go and run. Get what you want. Let's go around a couple of times. Let's sort this out. Let's make sure we don't miss anything. Then I'm going to knack her out, bring her home, put her on the sofa, let her sleep, football on. That is a plan. That is a plan of the highest standard. Tuchel always does well with an already built team. He can never build his own team. Sloppy second settings. That is a great stat. I think we will leave it on that. It's me, Everest. Guys, thank you so much for joining tonight. We will be back live tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If you are new, make sure you like and subscribe. As always, it has been a pleasure sharing this evening with you. 9 o'clock, that's our time. The Brian Brigade will be singing soon. We will get there. Like I said, this community will grow. We are getting there. We want to make sure that we're up there. And I think with you amazing people, it is something we'll achieve. Thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, guys, remember, Dan United